Good evening, welcome to tonight's stream. A little late, but that is just where things are at the moment. So what I'm going to be doing tonight is just cleaning up some beads. They have got rather... That's probably one of the bits I'm after, or maybe... So I'm just going to use high-speed tool to just clean up the hole in the bead. So I'm now just looking for an appropriate bit to do it with. That one looks like the one I want. Yeah, that's going to do the job better. And I may actually want a different one as well. So lots and lots of carbide burrs they're called, and effectively what a carbide burr is it's a dental bit. Might do what I think it does. So yes, this is what dentists use. Why does that seem to be wrapped in plastic? Will that do the job I want of it? No, that's probably not. I kind of want a... Oh, that one might actually. I want a fairly large ball-shaped bit. Yeah, looks like I've used that one, so we'll take that one. And put the rest away. Keep them safe. Don't want to lose them. They're not particularly cheap, aren't carbide bits. Also, not that easy to get hold of, believe it or not. Well, certainly not here in the UK. Now then, I need some clear some space because this will create dust, and I will, yeah. So let's put that mat to one side. I don't want dust around that. So I've got a fair number of plastic beads here which are not that clean around the hole, and they will cut the thread. So lock that or unlock that. I can then take and swap out the drill bit. So first of all we'll switch it out to using this taper rasp, which is sharp. I'll lock that in position. I've got the controller down beside me, and it's slowed right down as far as it'll go. I perhaps should do this under a magnifier. You can get hand tools to do this, but it's kind of why use a hand tool when you can do it with an electric tool? Now this is going slow enough that it's actually, I can actually stall the drill, which is fantastic, because that way it means I'm not going to suddenly try to get the thing spinning off in my hand and Going all over the place. Fluffy Twiglet, good evening. Welcome to the studio this evening. How are you? I haven't seen you around for a while. Let go, thank you. So, I've got something like a few hundred of these to do. So, it's not going to be a fantastically thrilling night of seeing anything particularly happen. So, what are you up to these days, Fluffy Twiglet, apart from college, of course? Has the exhibition happened yet? I'm just doing this because otherwise what will happen, as has already happened in a test bracelet, is it's worn through the thread and cut it, thereby making all the beads fall off. Oh, went better than expected. That's fantastic. Opening night, eh? Now that's a good start then. How long does it go on for? PM till 8, so just a pre-show show, a preview, almost. £100, not bad. So what was that? Charity or type donations, or is it actually selling work? I can't remember. I think I'm sure you probably did tell me, but memory at the moment, not the best of things. Opening show thing. Yeah, that's an industry term, is it? Okay. Oh, that's great. You're actually selling work at an exhibition like that, then that's absolutely fantastic. How long does it go on for now? Is it one of these sort of 3-day type shows, or is that it? And the next time I buy beads, I'm buying glass beads. These were Mellis got just to experiment with, so, but I still take as much care over working with these as I would do anything else. And that involves, doing this manually if I have to, until the 21st. Oh, it's a 2-week show. Okay, so it's sort of weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Oh well, that's still not bad. So an 8-day long show. That's quite a long show, is that? I'm going to turn the music down at this end, it's a bit loud for me. There we go. Hopefully that hasn't made it too quiet on stream, but we shall just deal with that. So I had made a nice pretty bracelet, but unfortunately, because these beads are not fantastic, it's actually cut through the thread. But that's why I make prototypes, to find out things like that. So that's why I have now sort of got the power tools out in order to clean up the around the hole. So these being plastic, they come out of the moulds with sharp edges. So I just need to remove all the sharp edges. That looks almost looks Victorian almost. What, this? Well, it's modern technology, that's for sure. Being what they call a micro motor. So that's if I wind this thing up to full power, it runs about 50,000 RPM. Now that I didn't know, you can't adjust the speed whilst it's running. Hey, that's clever. I just learned something then. But yeah, this is, I don't know if you caught it at the front, this is a dental bit. This is what your dentists use when you're doing root canals. One of these. And I've got 2 or 3 dental supply houses that keep trying to sell me things like big lights and mouthwash. Ow! Also very good if you want to do the edges of your nails. I haven't really got anything to get hold of these with. I could do with a pair of bead pliers. Because this thing is quite sharp when you jab it in you. Certainly beats doing it by hand though. This is actually a tool I use both for glass engraving as well as wood carving. You know, I don't often use this style of bit, but some of the other styles that I've got here, they chew through wood like nothing, almost like, I would say, like butter. And especially if I use this isn't a dentist drill, isn't this thing, this micromotor, but what I do have is I actually do have a dentist drill. So which kind of looks more Victorian, but that thing, when I fire that up on a compressor, runs about 300,000 RPM. And yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with the sound of a dentist drill. But it is excellent at changing wood into dust, and you can get some quite intricate carving with it as well. But it's also excellent for glass engraving. and whilst I have a Dremel, I much prefer using this because the Dremel is a noisy thing. You heard this one at full power, which is about twice as fast as a Dremel, and this thing in comparison hardly makes a noise. I wonder why my playback of my stream always crashes. So all I'm doing is just where the coating on the outside goes over the hole, it creates a sharp edge, and it doesn't take much movement of the thread going through that sharp edge to actually be cut. About the only way I'd avoid that is using wire, but wire's not a great thing for making bracelets with. So it's spending an hour or two just doing this. One of the things you have to do when you're well, doing whatever craft, good materials are worth paying for, of course, but you know, preparing them sometimes takes effort. Not necessarily the most glamorous part of the craft, but it's certainly something that's worthwhile to create a quality output. So I haven't needed to do this with rings so far, which I'm glad to say. My rings have all been round Fluffy Twiglet. Oh no, it's Claire that had the oval rings, yes, not you. How's the paper making going anyway? Have you made any more? Not the easiest things to hang. These are only 4mm, but they're not the easiest of things to hang on to. It's amazing how the hole sizes vary as well. One thing about this over a Dremel as well is this is kind of an industrial tool. So this thing will run, I can run that all day without a problem, non-stop, which I'd have a problem with Dremels not liking that. Oops, I dropped that somewhere. Where did it? Oh, it's over there. Can't have these things escaping. The only thing about bead storage is it tends to be small, which means you can't get, well, as a fella, I can't get my fingers into the bead storage, which means I've got to use things like tweezers, which you can't see what I'm doing at the moment, but I'm just taking beads out one at a time from this storage. And given that I've got over 500 in this storage to do, it's not the most fantastic of things. I guess what I should have done is get a big plate and tip everything out, but let's get them all out. There's only a few left. So I've only relatively recently started doing large beads. I've done some peyote stuff with the little tiny delicas and the seed beads, which is quite fun. I do like tiny though, so But I'm using a foot switch as well, by the way, with this. I don't need to keep turning it on and off, I just put my foot on the switch. Not only that, it's a variable switch, so I can slow it down if I need to. Which is great when you're carving or doing glass engraving, because you can set the maximum speed at full speed and then just vary the speed of the tool with your foot, which makes it easier to work with stuff. The only problem you've got doing this, you've got to be careful not to burn your hands, because this is a file turning at quite high speed, even though it's running at not quite its minimum speed, but it's still probably doing about 1000 RPM. You can sort of burn yourself with that if you're not careful. And friction burns are not very pleasant. Oops, there's it. Come back. If it jams, let go of the bead, that is, and then you can stop the drill and just pull it off. There we go. Don't try and keep hold of it, that's when you do hurt yourself. And of course I'm using a rotary tool, so there's nothing around here that can catch in a rotary tool. Yeah, I'm a fella, so yeah, I don't wear ties that often, but I wouldn't wear ties around rotary tools. I mean, something like this wouldn't do much, but some of the big drills, or the big Fordham I've got, which is a hanging motor, that's powerful enough to do some serious damage if it catches hold of things. Just taking the sharp edge off, I may just do it a little bit more with the burr on these as well, because there will still be a sharp edge, even it'll be a right angled edge. God, sometimes you can't position the bead just right. It's also had the advantage of making just the hole where it's been drilled quite small. I actually don't understand how they can drill a hole quite small, but it just opens out the bead path as well, or the needle path. Which will be great when I come to use them. So a fantastic evening of reaming beads. Sort of thing I'd have done previously. I'd have done watching a television program or something like that, or listening to a book. Now you guys on the internet get to watch me do this sort of thing. Not that I've done this with beads before, but other craft items of various kinds. Kits and stuff like that, model kits, and where holes are not being very precisely drilled, or you get what they call like flashings on plastic mouldings and things where you have to smooth them off. As I was saying, in a lot of areas, preparation is everything, and it is, or it can be. Time spent preparing to do something can be as important as actually doing it, in order to get I'll describe it as a professional result, but as a nice looking decent result. Now, sometimes the hole is bigger than this tool. In that case I'm going to just move it around a little bit. Most of the holes are slightly smaller, so either the drill bits were wearing out, or I don't know how they create the holes in these. I was counting these earlier today, and they actually remind me of blueberries, even though they're purpley plum colour. Blueberries or bilberries. Can't remember the difference between those, if there is a difference at all. I'm just thinking, I wonder what anybody coming to the stream seeing this going on, wonder what's going on. If you are watching, I wonder what's going on, feel free to ask. Well, that's almost 79 done. Only another 400 knot to do. And a bracelet to take apart, undo, and then put back together again afterwards. Okay, let's just clear the desk of debris from doing that. Little bits of red whatever. I've no idea what the cuttings are made of. Now then, let's change this drill bit. And see if I can do this without making a mess of the beads. Turn that down. This may be a little bit large. Let's have a look. Try it on one. Okay. That's not bad, but I need a bit more speed on this. This is a larger tool. This is a cutter rather than a sanding type of device, so that's why it's screaming a little bit. I'm sure Pete's doing it by hand. Of course I shouldn't really need to do this at all, but this is where, yeah, if you spend a few more pennies, shall we say, you don't need to do this. That's kind of the point of paying for quality, so to speak. Because whilst it may be a little bit more expensive to buy beads you don't need to do this with, you don't need to do this. And this takes up quite a bit of time. I can't run this too fast, because if I do, I'll actually go all the way through the beads really quickly. And plus, the beads being a plastic, it's quite likely that they would, the heat would melt them as well if I did this too fast, which would gum up the drill bit, or the burr on the end here. Sorry, I can't easily show you what I'm doing because of the angles of the camera. Yeah, I'm sure if I was doing this on glass, people would be more interested. Feels like the weekend now. I know it's not, but it's weird. Oh dear. An extremely riveting thing to watch, I am sure. A bit like watching paint dry, but there's certain things that you watch which are sort of almost irresistible to watch, even though you know it's not the most interesting thing at all. I don't know. Can't think of an example at the moment. Just because I can't think of an example at the moment, but could do with something a bit better to put them in than this tray, but let's just put them into the middle where it's a bit easier to get hold of them. It's like one of those cat toys that have balls in the outside, but they're trapped, and so they can't actually get the ball out of the race around the outside, and I'm just chasing a pearl around there, just like a cat would. Right. So just removing the sharp edges. Of course, now they're all covered in dust as well. At least I don't have to worry about jabbing myself with this tool. I can still burn myself with it, but I won't jab myself with it. It doesn't have a sharp point, it's a ball on the end with cutting edges on the sides in a spiral pattern. Not that you really needed to know that, but fun fact for the day. LDLH, hello, good evening, welcome to the studio this evening. Welcome to the riveting demonstration of me deburring beads. Oops, there's it, come back here. So all I'm doing is just taking the sharp edges off the hole through the middle so that it doesn't cut through thread. So how are you doing anyway? I haven't seen you around for a while. Okay, that's these red pearls almost done. They are done. Well, I've got a few more to do in the future, before the end of the night, but I need to take a bracelet apart for that first. So now I've got a lot of yellow bicones to do. It's been a while. It has indeed been a while. I know my streaming has been a little bit sort of erratic, on and off for a particular reason, which I'm not going to now, but I am hoping it will get back to something more normal, and I'll get back to feeling maybe perhaps of doing some of the carving, perhaps. Or I may just try a bit of glass engraving on stream. We shall have to see. Provided I don't do it too deep, I will be okay doing it where I am here. So if I do just sort of surface engraving, let's just do a few of these. And you've been a little... I'm not doing too bad, thank you, LDLH. A little distant from Twitch. Yeah. I've watched it. I kept watching it. I'm not... just not always being able to stream. And Twitch itself seems really quiet at the moment. From the number of people around watching streams. Don't quite know whether it's normal at this time of the year, because I've not been... I don't think I've been streaming for a year yet. Oh yeah. Can't change do I used to watch? Generally speaking, I watch a few people. I don't actually watch many. I used to watch quite a few streamers. I don't actually watch too many now. I'll occasionally watch a streamer called Soren doing Minecraft stuff. And I watch DJ Arcus doing Fortress Craft Evolved development. But apart from that, I'll generally be watching creative streams. So anybody actually doing things, as opposed, you know, creating something, modelling, chain work, physical stuff, as opposed to digital art. I don't watch too many digital artists. But there's usually something fascinating going on to watch and learn new stuff. So glass blowing is one that I love watching. And of course, anybody who does any of the same crafts as me, like the pyrography, for example, is a good one to watch. That way you learn new things sometimes. People putting cubes one over the other. No, unless you're talking. I don't know what you're talking about there. Is that the other one I can think of like that? Oh, Minecraft. I guess so. It's weird. I don't think of it in that way. If that's what you were referring to with as Minecraft, it's even when you're playing it, or even Fortress Craft Evolved, which is cube based as well. You very quickly forget that, and it's the gameplay just sort of takes over. Reality is suspended for a while. League of Legends. Okay. I watch some games. That's not one that particularly interests me to watch. I'm not really into that sort of game. I quite like a lot of the simulator type games, or watching them. But there again, I also like a lot of FPS, watching a lot of FPS type stuff. I'm not fantastically interested in things like Call of Duty, but you get something like Doom, for example, or the other one that I can't remember with the Umbrella Corporation. I've forgotten what that's called, that series. The ones where it's a little bit more than just, if it moves, shoot it. So there's actually sort of exploration and puzzles and things to solve. So yeah, Minecraft is nice. Mind you, with several thousand people broadcasting on Twitch, it is a bit like television sometimes. You're looking through it and you can't find a thing to watch, even on creative streams. Because it's certain creative streams, I will, if somebody was glass blowing, I'd probably watch. But half the time, it's down to the person that's doing the broadcasting that makes it interesting or more interesting. I mean, what I'm doing here is probably not the most interesting. Well, it's not interesting at all to watch. Let's be realistic about it. But with the right streamer behind doing it, then it becomes a lot more interesting, obviously depending on what the chat's about and things like that. Which doesn't mean I make it interesting at all, because I probably don't, but... Scary soap. Having just talked about how this is perhaps not the most of interesting of things, it looks cool. All I am doing is making up for the slightly poor quality of beads that you can buy in the local shop. These are when they come out, these are plastic. They're made in moulds, and when they come out, they literally they just turn them out. But they have quite often have sharp edges, and when you thread them onto a cord, the cord. What I'm trying to say is the cord gets very easily cut. So I'm just that's using some power tools there just to get rid of all the sharp edges. I wouldn't normally do this sort of thing on stream, but I've got to do it anyway, and so I might as well show everybody some of the more boring stuff about doing some of the, when you're making jewellery or something like that. All these sorts of things you have to do anyway. It just all gets hidden in the background. Last projects I can do. I can show you a broken bracelet. This is why this is broken. But this which is why I'm doing this work with the beads. But this was something a past project. Actually, quite a few of the projects are showing up there as well on the side. Sorry about the so it's pyrography there. I've got a lot of jewellery. Salah Khan, I believe that was. Thank you very much for following. And Scary Soap. So I've got a fair bit of jewellery in front of me. I'll show you some of that, and I can show you some of the other pieces. So this, let me zoom the camera out a little bit, because some of the pieces are largish. So this was just some cord weaving. This is a wrap bracelet, so you wrap it round and then magnetic clasp, just hold it in place. So that's for example. Or you can use it as a necklace because it's long enough as a magnetic clasp. We've got some, this hasn't got its clasps on the end, but this is kind of like stars and stripes, red and blue stripes with white stars hidden amongst it in the middle. How do you make that? This, it's a technique called kumahimo, where basically, I haven't got the disc with me, but it's a round plate through which you space threads around it through a hole in the centre, and then basically just start wrapping the cords over each other in a crisscross sort of pattern, and it just builds up like that. And depending on the crisscross pattern that you use, you get different effects. This one's a spiral effect. This is done using little tiny beads. There are the beads are about a tenth of an inch in length, just put together to create that. This is a necklace. It's a wire, but it's a necklace, and that's done. The beads are put together there in a technique called peyote stitch. Till Edelstein, I believe. Thank you very much for following. And then to create a tube, which is then just threaded onto the wire. In fact, let me just, if I do that, I can see, yeah, till Edelstein, thank you. What else do we have here? You can create pictures. So this is going to be a bracelet. I just haven't got the clasp for it at the moment. I need to get some sterling silver clasps. But a couple of poppies for memory. Is it just for show, or is it? No, they can be for sale. There is an Etsy shop, zaragonart.etsy.com, which has just got chain working at the moment. Things like this braid is going to go in there. I just haven't managed to do it yet, but they are for sale. Yes, I can make them up in a variety of colours. This one is yellow. Just in front of me I've got blue and red cord and green cord, for example. So nice, some nice blue, for example. What else do we have here? In fact, I was just doing another one. So chain work. So we've got some got a bracelet here. This is a combined box chain and Byzantine in the centre with the gold. And to go with that, I have a necklace that goes with it. And even, actually I don't know where the other one is, but earrings as well. If you're into earrings. Well, you might have to be a little bit careful with how much lightning storm around. Beautiful, thank you very much. Difficult, these things, time consuming to make. Are they difficult to make? It's a little bit of, once you understand what you're doing, they're not difficult, but the skill then comes in doing, well, with chain work, for example, making sure that each link is closed and that you can do it at a reasonable speed. You know, you can spend several days making one of these things, or you can spend a couple of hours or 3 hours. This is another necklace. This is Byzantine. It's anodized aluminium. It's not sterling silver. It's anodized aluminium, but I actually like it better. Just as an example, what I've got on my wrist. This is sterling silver. This is anodized aluminium. I've been wearing both of them for several months now, and this one's still shiny, which is the aluminium, and the sterling silver isn't. So yeah, it does have its advantages, but there are other things as well. Let's have a look. Here's another bracelet. I'll show you some of the other things as well in a moment. Here's another bracelet. So there's a lot of jewellery. I do 5 crafts on stream, and so what happens is the jewellery which takes less time to make than the others. So I end up with more of it, of course, and with selling it, I need to have a reasonable amount. Here's another chain, just as it happens to be in front of me. This one also with a magnetic clasp. Makes it a lot easier when you're putting them on. Oops, so there's it. That's a golden sky blue. So what else do we do? Well, let me show you some of the other things. Let me just put this. By the way, if anybody sees anything that they would like which isn't in the shop, then you are quite welcome to just drop me a Twitch message and we can talk about it. So how about some carving? Wood carving. This is called relief carving. This is a dragon. It's a dragon called Ruth. So he's actually a dragon done in the style of an artist called Michael Whelan, who drew dragons for a series of books by Anne McCaffrey called the Pern series. Okay, LH, have a good evening and stay safe. So there's relief carving. Relief carving means it's not true 3D. This was all one solid piece of wood. It's not stuck on the wood, but it does have that sort of impression. That's what a relief carve is. or even just a simple rose. And let's have a look at some pyrography. So we've done a fair few pyrography. So we've got a lion, which may be fairly obvious. I guess it's a lion. It's about the only big cat that's got that much hair. I need to lay these things flat one of these days. This is a monorail out from Walt Disney World, and we've got an African savannah there. Salute to Sunset, as this one's called. It's an elephant, obviously, with a giraffe in the background at sunset. So you've got the little bit of grass around, and it's getting dark. You can get the shadow of the trees in the background. But there's not only animals in pyrography. I've got a couple of others down here. These were practice pieces because they're on brown wood, but we've got a train. The writing is backwards because the camera's reversed, because I prefer the screen I'm looking at to work like a mirror. But the writing is the right way around on this. And we've got a World War II bomber, a Lancaster for a Lancaster. Again, the writing's the right way around on in real life here. We'll show you another art form, which is scraper board. So this scraper board, this is it's like a thick cardboard backing which has been covered in porcelain clay and then black Indian ink, and then you actually scrape the Indian ink off very carefully. In this particular case, and there's thousands of lines on here, little tiny fine lines to form all that shading. So obviously this is a leopard. You could say it's a snow leopard, being that it's white, black and white, which is what snow leopards are, as opposed to the orangey brown variety of leopard. Sorry, there's just a few things around. Here's another scraper board. This time the grass, which is obviously around it, has been has green ink applied. So it was white, but then by applying ink, which soaks into the clay a little bit, and you get some really nice variation like that. That makes it look like real grass. So things like this also, whilst this particular piece, for example, isn't for sale at the moment, things like this can be commissioned. And this is a different form of art, different form of art. This is kind of like a miniature rug. It's made in the same way as rugs are made. It's actually called punchcraft. So this is actually sort of a thread, rather like a carpet. Lots of tiny loops which are pushed through the backing material with a needle. But you can create images like this, which is the same train that you saw on the pyrography. And you can actually get 3D effects as well out of this. And yeah, I can find it. I've got another one. This is that was something called a Class 66. It's a diesel electric locomotive, usually used for freight in the UK. But here's another one, which is a steam engine. This one is of the Mallard, which is the world record steam locomotive, world record speed holder. That's what I was trying to say. 125 miles per hour. on the East Coast Main Line. So there's a fair number of things there. I'll just put them back. Especially the scraper board. Need to keep that safe at the moment because it's not. It needs to be varnished to protect it. But there you go. There's a. Then that's just the crafts that I do on stream or off stream. When I also do quite a lot of other things like high-speed rotary carving using this thing, or even a true dentist drill. And glass engraving, airbrushing, rug making, probably some other things that don't come to mind at the moment, but it's quite a busy thing around here. So I am going to go back to just cleaning up these bicones here. But so all of these things, but you can see the pictures of some of the jewellery items and some of the other things will appear on the left hand side there as well. So you've got all of them have been done on stream. So there's various examples there. I'm trying to think, have I missed anything? Scraper board, jewellery. Carving, pyrography. There's 5. Scraper board, jewellery, pyrography, punchcraft. Scraper board, carving, pyrography, jewellery, punchcraft. Yeah, that's the 5. Yeah. And this is just cleaning these up because the quality of them isn't quite as I'd like. Where the thread comes out of the bead is quite sharp, and it cuts the thread, which is no good when you're making like a bracelet because it means it falls apart. So by doing this, I remove the sharp edges, and it shouldn't be a problem. So if anybody's got any particular questions about any of those types of art, you're quite welcome to ask. I do them all at times. I'm just at the moment not in the mood for working with sharp chisels, so I've got a piece which is half done, which is of an eagle owl, which we're about halfway through, but I'm just not in the mood for working with sharp chisels. And that's the one thing, yeah, with sharp tools is you want to feel like you want to work with them. You don't want to be forcing yourself to work with them, because that's when accidents happen, and I don't want accidents. Because the chisels are as sharp as razor blades, basically. And you know, accidents can get serious really quickly if you're not careful. So a little fun fact for you is what I'm using on the end of here is a dental drill. So these are sorts of things, this sort of tool is the sort of thing that a dentist would use on your teeth. I've got the speed turned down so it doesn't sound like a dentist drill. Actually this one doesn't, but if I was to fire up my other drill, which is this is a dental drill, so it does sound like a dentist drill when you fire this up. But I'm not about to do that now. That needs me to run my big compressor to run that, and I don't need it for this. So the tool that the drill is in, or the burr is in as it's called, because it's not actually a drill, is called a micromotor. I don't know exactly what the micro bit about it is because it's quite large, but it's kind of fun. Well, if you're familiar with Dremel, it's a professional version of a Dremel. It's a heck of a lot quieter and a lot better balanced, and spins a lot faster as well. And this is it's plugged into a control unit which is on the floor down here, and I also have a foot control which I'm using to control this. So it gives me really precise control. I can use this almost like a pencil. In fact, actually you can hold it like a pencil, and you can actually use it like a pencil, because when I'm glass engraving that tends to be how I do it. So I can actually write with this. Okay, so that's one operation done. What I'm going to do now is stop this and change out the tool for an abrasive reamer, so I can just do the inside edge of the hole. And again, that's a dentist drill. If you ever have any root canal work done, that's exactly the tool that they used to do it with. So now that I've made you all feel rather squeamish, yeah, this is just really like a big, it's a tiny file. Spinning it not particularly fast in this particular case, there's no reason to spin it at high speed, but that's all this is just a big file, a small file. Keep saying big. Don't quite know why I keep saying big. It's a relatively long file for this sort of operation, but if a bead gets stuck on something like this, when that happens, let go of the bead. Don't try and hold on to it. So doing this by hand would sort of take a minute or so per bead, whereas it takes a few seconds using the power tool. And of course, next time I buy beads, I'll probably buy some that I will buy some that I don't need to do this with. If you jab yourself with the end of this, it hurts quite a bit, so I'm being a little bit careful. It's not exactly sharp, but when it's turning at about 1000 RPM, which is what it's doing here, it does tend to dig in and burn somewhat. So I guess you're all now hoping that's going to happen, aren't you? And I'm not. Mm-hmm. Come back here. You're not going to get away with it. Right, well, there's a hole there somewhere, as they say. There we go. Right, it's 10 o'clock, or just after 10 o'clock, which is when I'd normally finish the stream, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody that's watching. I'm going to point out both my website, zeragonart.com, which explains a little bit more about some of the crafts, and there's a small shop on there as well. But of course I'm also going to point out the main shop there, zeragonart.etsy.com. Lots of nice jewellery, some of which you've seen, and all of which appear in the pictures here on the left hand side are in the shop there if anybody's interested. There is of course at the moment a coupon code across the bottom of the screen there, which can be used in the shop whilst I'm feeling generous till the end of this month. Otherwise I would recommend following me here on Twitch or even on Twitter, so you can get a notification when I go live, which tends to be hopefully around about every evening at the moment. But of course you can also follow me on Facebook, where there is odd pictures and other things of all the pieces that get done, and you can take a look at them on there as well. In the meantime, I'm going to say thank you for watching. I'm going to say have a great night from here, the White Rose County, West Yorkshire in the UK. I'll hope to see you again. Next stream hopefully will be tomorrow night from around 8 PM UK time, 2000 hours UTC or GMT. They're all three the same at the moment, I think. Yeah, they are. And yep, that's it. Bye for now.